Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Michael Pauley. I'm a resident of Snohomish County, and I'm speaking today on behalf of Human Life of Washington. Our organization is the Washington State affiliate of the National Right to Life Committee. We strongly support passage of Senate Bill 6612, and, at the risk of stating the obvious, let me acknowledge that abortion is a divisive issue in politics and culture. I think wise people in political life will try to find areas of common ground where people on both sides can find agreement. And I'd suggest that the bill before you today represents that kind of common ground. Whatever differences exist among us on the broader issue of abortion, I think most people of goodwill can agree on this proposition. The idea of choosing to have an abortion for no other reason than to eliminate a child of an undesired sex is profoundly disturbing. As the father of two young girls myself, ages 3 and 6, I'll admit that this is something very personal to me. I believe the other testifiers will expand on why this practice should be prescribed by law in our state. I'm going to confine my comments to addressing the evidence of the occurrence of sex selection abortion in the United States. In 2011, a team of obstetrician gynecologists and other researchers with the University of Connecticut Health Center published a study regarding prenatal sex selection. This study was published in the medical journal Prenatal Diagnosis, which is the official journal of the International Society for Prenatal Diagnosis. The study reviewed sex ratio data on births in the United States from 1975 to 2002 using data from the National Center for Health Statistics. The study's authors reach a chilling conclusion, and I quote, "We report evidence which strongly suggests that male sex selection occurs in some populations of Asian and Pacific Islander origin and culture who deliver in the United States. Although the magnitude of prenatal sex selection in the United States is not on the scale of that seen in China and other Asian countries where it results in major sex ratio imbalances, the practice does raise serious ethical issues in the United States," close quote. So how many sex selection abortions are happening? Well, the authors of this study concluded, and I quote, "We can very crudely estimate that there were approximately 20,000 missing females in this subset of U.S. births from 1983 to 2002, or an average of 1,000 per year," close quote. Another study was conducted by a team from Columbia University and the National Bureau of Economic Research. This study was published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in April 2008. The study authors examined U.S. Census data from the year 2000 and reached a conclusion similar to the study published in Prenatal Diagnosis. It concluded that male-biased sex ratios existed among U.S.-born children within certain demographic groups. This male bias was particularly evident for third children. If there were no previous sons from the first two births, sons outnumbered daughters by 50% in the third birth. The study authors also suggest an explanation for this phenomenon, and I quote, "We interpret the found deviation in favor of sons to be evidence of sex selection, most likely at the prenatal stage," close quote. And I don't have time to get into it, but there is also a study done by Oxford University researchers that examined demographic data in Great Britain and reached conclusions that are, completely consistent with the conclusions from these U.S. studies. But beyond the qualitative data, we also have quantitative studies. Researchers at the University of California, San Francisco conducted a study that was published April 2011 in the journal Social Science and Medicine. The researchers interviewed 65 women in California, New Jersey, and New York. The women in question had all pursued fetal sex selection at some point between September 2004 and December 2009. Let me quote directly from the study's abstract. "We found that 40% of the women interviewed had terminated prior pregnancies with female fetuses, and that 89% of women carrying female fetuses in their current pregnancy pursued an abortion. These narratives, highlight the interaction between medical technology and the perpetuation of this specific form of violence against women in an immigrant context where women are both the assumed beneficiaries of reproductive choice while remaining highly vulnerable to family violence and reproductive coercion, close quote. In conclusion, there is plenty of evidence regarding the demand for sex selection abortion, but as we know, that's only one half of the economic concept of supply and demand. Who is supplying these sex selection abortions when almost every healthcare organization soundly condemns the practice? In May of 2012, the news network CNN reported on a series of undercover videos that were filmed in Planned Parenthood clinics in the United States, showing staff members who were more than willing to assist a woman purportedly seeking a sex selection abortion. The employee in one of the videos was terminated by Planned Parenthood following its release. But regardless, the videos suggest that at least some in the abortion industry do not even recognize the concept that there could be an improper motive for seeking an abortion. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, there is substantial evidence that a demand exists for sex selection abortion in the U.S., Great Britain, and other developed countries. And sadly, there is evidence that despite all condemnations of this practice from professional groups, abortion providers will cooperate with this request for sex selection abortion, regardless of the tragic consequences for society. Thank you, and that concludes my testimony.
Thank you very much.